The aisle turned into a stage. The phones became spotlights, and suddenly we were the headline no one asked for. You know what I mean. Let me back up a sec. Because if I just tell you the ending, you'll miss why it matters. Row 12, William's party of 5. My wife Aisha reading briefs with that quiet focus that makes lawyers look like surgeons. Zara with her headphones on. She hears everything anyway. And Isaiah working a puzzle book like it owes him money. I'd cracked my briefcase just enough to keep one eye on a document I didn't want to need, the sort of paper that changes the temperature of a room. And then a voice sliced the cabin air cleaner than the wing through cloud. Ma'am, your family needs to exit this aircraft immediately. Excessive noise, inappropriate behavior. And because I've learned to measure first and speak second, I asked, calm as I could, what complaints exactly? The smell of your ethnic food is disturbing other passengers. And your children's volume levels are unacceptable, she said, like she was reading a line she'd practiced and was proud she didn't stumble over. We hadn't opened a snack, not a peanut, not a crumb. Aisha closed the laptop with that attorney click. That means the conversation just stood up and put on a tie. Document the complaint and show me the policy, she said, steady, professional. Not one octave out of place. Phones came out like prairie dogs when a hawk floats by. Row 8C. A woman named Maria tilted her camera toward us and whispered to TikTok that something was happening. 2 rows back, a silver-haired gentleman went live on Instagram with the patience of a church usher, and you could feel it, that modern hush, when the internet pulls its chair up to watch. Sir, please gather your belongings and move to the rear, Rebecca pressed, authority warming to a simmer. On what grounds? Aisha asked, already indexing FAA rules in her head like file tabs. Crew discretion for passenger comfort, came the answer, with a smile that didn't bother visiting her eyes. Whose comfort? Cameron said before I could stop him, and I gave him the look. The not yet look, the we're going to win this by inches look. Are you questioning my authority? Rebecca snapped, cheeks coloring. No, I said, soft enough to make her lean in. I'm asking you to show your work. She keyed her radio for the captain, and somewhere behind us a younger attendant, Jennifer, whispered into her headset that we had a non-compliant family in row 12. Meanwhile, the cabin cam blinked its quiet red record light, the sort of eye that never blinks when you need it to. Aisha started collecting facts. Timestamp, words used, witnesses. There's nothing quite like a mother with the law on her side. To our left, a business traveler in 14D spoke up. I've been here since takeoff. They're quiet and respectful. This is it. Stepped into the aisle and did what good captains do. He looked, he listened, he asked for forms. How many complaints? He asked. Eyes scanning the faces, the answer landed with a thud. 2, verbal, no names, no time, no detail. That's when the radio crackled from Denver Center asking if we had a social media situation. Which is aviation for your problem, is now public. Phones away during crew instructions, Rebecca ordered. Not required in level flight unless safety is implicated, Aisha replied, quoting chapter and verse like she had the FAR printed on her palm. A few rows back, the silver-haired man, Robert Parker, said into his live, 40 years in the air, and I've seen drunks, brawls. All of it. This family's the calmest on board. And the cabin shifted. You could feel the weight sliding toward what felt like the truth. We could have ended it there with a simple apology and a reset. The captain even had that look, the one that says I can fix this without paperwork. But pride doesn't like quiet exits. If they refuse reasonable instructions, we'll have law enforcement meet the aircraft, Rebecca said, voice tight. Lawful instructions, Aisha corrected, require a law. And for a heartbeat, everything stilled. Like the plane remembered it was a pressure vessel and drama is extra cargo. Now here's where the story tilts, and I won't pretend I didn't think about it from the first minute. My briefcase. The leather portfolio, the card no one expects a passenger to carry. Because sometimes the only way to show a system its reflection is to set a mirror on the tray table and watch who looks away. The captain's face moved from annoyed to alert, and Aisha squeezed my hand like a signal we'd practiced. Captain, I believe they're looking for me, I said. He blinked. Sir, are you law enforcement? Not exactly. I opened the portfolio. The crest gleamed like an inconvenient truth. Board of Directors, Executive Session, Chairman Tyrone R. Williams. And that's a sentence that lands like turbulence. The kind that makes people grab the seat in front of them and reconsider how firmly they believe their version of the story. Operations patched through. The CEO's voice came over the captain's headset, and because nothing stays private at 35,000 feet, half the forward cabin heard it. Mr. Williams, what is the status? My family was ordered to relocate for alleged smells and noise that didn't exist, I said. No documented complaints, no safety issue. There was a long, open mic silence. Flight attendant Sullivan will report to me upon landing. And that was the moment the temperature flipped, frost to flame, authority back in its lane. Rebecca went pale, and I could see the 12 years of perfect hair and double shifts and holidays spent in airports pass behind her eyes. That's the tough thing about consequences. They don't read your resume. They read your actions. You own the airline, she asked. I'm the largest individual shareholder, I said, not unkindly, because truth without cruelty is still strong. And we conduct unannounced assessments of our culture because power doesn't test character. Absence of power does. You might think I enjoyed that reveal. But satisfaction is a small meal when your kids are watching what the world is capable of. What I wanted was simple: policy to match values, enforcement to match policy. Dignity to be the default even when the cabin is full and the coffee is cold. The captain took us down toward New York and made the announcement I wish had come earlier, a formal apology. Clear and specific, and the cabin exhaled like a choir after the amen. At the jet bridge, cameras hovered behind a rope line because news finds the scent of conflict faster than a dog finds a dropped French fry. The CEO was waiting, not with a handshake, but with instructions. Flight attendant Sullivan, you're relieved of duty effective immediately. Rebecca flinched. And I'll tell you a twist you didn't see coming. Neither did I. I asked for an alternative. Not because I believed she deserved protection, but because punishment teaches slower than accountability sticks. We offered a harder road that didn't end her livelihood: demotion, salary cut. A 2-year assignment building the very training she never received properly. Her story recorded as the case study others would learn from. Necessary, public, uncomfortable. That night, the emergency board met. And if you think companies can't move quickly, you've never seen a spreadsheet sweat. We allocated real money. Not press release money. Technology to surface bias in real time. Training that actually changes muscle memory. Reporting that forces action instead of burying shame in forms. We tied investment to outcomes because ideals without metrics are sermons nobody hears above the engine noise. We set benchmarks that would pinch if ignored. Satisfaction across demographics. Certification for every customer-facing role, audited, verified, enforced. The part that stays with me isn't the policy or the press. It's what happened in the aisle after the decision. Jennifer, the junior attendant who'd followed orders, brought Aisha water and whispered, I should have asked for the names of the complaining passengers. Growth in a sentence. The businessman from first called across the curtain that he was sorry he waited to speak. Sandra in 14D squeezed Zara's shoulder and said, You were brave. And Robert, the silver-haired witness, stopped recording, looked me in the eye, and said, I've seen a lot of landings, sir, not many like this. Weeks later, data started singing. Fewer incidents, faster de-escalations. Captains asking for the paperwork before the posture, attendants practicing the sentence, help me understand the concern instead of because I said so. And my kids learned a lesson I wish they didn't need. That power used quietly can bend a system louder than rage thrown hard. That grace isn't softness, it's strategy. Do I think Rebecca's apology solved the wound? No. Healing is a long walk, and this story is only 1 mile. And I believed her when she said she didn't want anyone to be her again. Cameron still quotes the numbers like a sportscaster. Zara wrote about dignity and silence for school and set half the room on fire. Isaiah built a tiny app that reminds people, politely. Essential. Here's the thing I want you to sit with while the cabin lights dim and the wheels kiss the runway in your head. If I had flashed that portfolio in minute 1, we would have gotten a fast apology and a free snack box, and no one would have learned what they needed to, because the point was never vengeance. When is a relocation about safety, and when is it about who we think belongs up front and who should disappear to the back? Would you have revealed the card on minute 1 or let the story unfold? Would you accept a second chance for someone who got it wrong in public if the price was living with that wrong as their job description until they make it right? Tell me what justice looks like at 35,000 feet. Tell me what accountability tastes like when the coffee is cold and the seatbelt sign is on. If you've ever watched a moment like this, on a plane, in a store, at a school, say so. Your voice matters more than you think, and if you disagree, good. That's how we land closer to right than where we took off. Now, what would you have done?